Our passion is all about harnessing data to help people make better decisions. How we do that is with software that orchestrates the power of human teamwork with the raw processing power of computers to analyze vast quantities of data. Our primary customer throughout the years has been the Department of Defense, but we've also served a number of commercial enterprises, and those span not-for-profits, utilities, banking, telecommunications, aerospace, and technology companies. Think about sort of the merger of, let's say, Facebook with Google, where you have an intuitive way of interacting and collaborating and communicating with people, your team, your peers, your colleagues, your friends, and yet you have access behind that to all sorts of data and all sorts of analysis of that data, and you bring that all together. You could say that we're doing that for mission-critical business problems. We call ourselves jokingly a carport startup because our lead founder didn't have a garage, so we couldn't be a garage startup. Fortunately, our other co-founder had a spacious living room, and so we used that as our main war room for launching the business. We wrote the original business plan over Memorial Day weekend in 1984, and we incorporated a few months later, and Ed took the initial leap and got the business started, so he was the first one, and then I joined the following spring. We often don't recognize the formative experiences that shape our future when they're first occurring with us. In my case, as a young boy, learning chess helped me become a better student, and that became especially important during middle school. I missed a bunch of schooling and ended up repeating a year due to an illness. Later, as a teen, I worked for my father and his businesses. And then in college, when I was at Washington University, I worked for Southwestern Bell. And that's probably the first place where I started getting into data. After college, I had a great early career at Harris Corporation as a software developer and leading small teams. Harris, with their software business, began a pivot. At about the same time, I was in the Florida Tech MBA program. The push and the pull that these formed, along with two eager co-founders, led to the creation of software productivity solutions, which later became Modus Operandi. Well, early on, we were out banging our heads against the wall trying to raise capital to build our software products, and that wasn't working. So we turned to the Small Business Innovation Research Program, SBIR, and we were able to obtain funding to develop technology and products through that program. And I would say in terms of things that have been really helpful to our success, the SBIR program certainly stands out. We've had several setbacks. The first one is we were launching one of our first products in the 1990s. We basically ran out of money. And our CEO, my co-founder, he was very passionate about this product. He lived and breathed it. Ultimately, we ended up splitting off a separate company so he could take that product and run with it. And that left me. That was when I became the CEO of what was then Software Productivity Solutions. After that was done and the companies were separated, we were deep in debt. But the good thing was we had some contracts coming in. And so that leads to my secret of cash. We all know that cash is king, but I like to say cash flow is queen. And we all know the queen is more powerful than the king. So with that cash flow coming in, we were able ultimately, it took us quite a while, almost a year, we were able to pay off all of our debts and resume growing again. By the late 1990s, we acquired another small company, and that's when we became Modus Operandi. We did that, if you remember the late 1990s, just before the dot-com boom and bust. And we had expanded into the commercial sector. And it's amazing how fast commercial companies can turn off spending. So our business shrank dramatically as a result. And by 2001, we were basically starting over. But we had two things that we didn't have 15 years earlier when we first started. First, we had a small, dedicated team. And second, we had some loyal customers. And these customers stuck with us and enabled us to weather that a very difficult period and ultimately come out the other side. And that leads to my secret of perseverance. The philosopher Edmund Burke said, "Never despair, but if you do, work on in despair." And that's exactly what we did. We changed strategy, we changed tactics, but we just kept at it. We kept working. Right now, this is a very exciting time for the company. We've just launched a new product called Movia, and we're pivoting our business to drive future growth around that Movia product. At the same time, we've been doing formal succession planning, basically preparing for the next generation of leaders to take over the reins from me. And these succession planning, it's shared openly within the company. And within the last 6 months, we've promoted from within to 2 people into more senior leadership positions as part of that planning. There's an eagerness of many people to take on more responsibility. But certain positions, particularly the senior leadership position, you also have to have the ability to do it. There's the risk of too much on-the-job learning is very high for the company. So we have some positions that will end up being filled externally. But part of our succession plan is that those folks would, rather than parachute in directly into that position, they would come in, they would learn the business and grow into it. And it would all be with the shared that, hey, this is the plan, this is what this person's being brought in ultimately to do, and here's the path for how we're going to get them there. I am only the captain of our ship. Without my team, there would be no Modus Operandi. We have several employees with more than 20 years of service with the company, and a good handful with more than 10 years. It was Helen Keller who said, alone we can do so little, and together we can do so much. And that very much applies to Modus Operandi, and really is reflected in my secret of building a team.